Hey everyone, I got another video coaching review for you all to check out. This one's a little different. This one is actually for a trad archer based here in Florida. So special thanks to Scott for allowing me to use this and his video for my own purposes on this YouTube channel to promote video coaching review. If you're interested in video coaching review, there'll be links in the description below to my website so you can check that out and see some more information on that. But anyway, thank you again to Scott and enjoy this video. For those of you that are new here, my name is Kaminski. I'm a two-time Olympic silver medalist in the sport of archery, and we're going to make this channel a great resource to all types of archery. So if you haven't yet, hit that subscription button and the notification bell. That way you're notified every time a new video is uploaded. I'd appreciate it. But thank you for submitting a video coaching review, and it's pretty cool that you're not very far. You know, you're in Florida, and you're a trad shooter, and you shoot with a bunch of other trad shooters as well. So I think that's pretty neat. It looks like that you are looking for help on a few things in regards to release, is what you're saying after critiquing your own videos, because it's a good resource to do, is to record yourself and definitely critique yourself. And many people don't realize that. And sometimes this is the first time people have seen themselves shoot, so they get to pick apart their own form, which is good. So I'm glad that you've done that and taken that into, as your advantage. So trying to get follow through with a high drawing arm can be difficult, and being up there in age doesn't help either. That's what you said. And your goals are just to get more consistent, be a better archer, and looking to take those skills to the people that you work with. So I will do my best here to help you with what I am seeing. Get this out of the way. The quality of videos is great, by the way. Definitely no issue there. So you're looking at trying to figure out how to follow through while anchoring quite high. What I am thinking that I prefer to feel, and it kind of what happens with what I feel is a follow through with a trad type style setup. And I've never officially shot trad archery, but what I have done is I've just grabbed a one-piece recurve off the wall and basically flung arrows at a target. We'd roll it across the ground just to kind of mess around, or go to the desert and throw targets up in the air and try to shoot them, and doing all sorts of stuff. So that's how I would apply my trad ability, and can use that as a reference point. But what I see and like to do, and I do bowfish, and well, not currently, but I have in the past, so no sights there, just instinctive. And what I think I can explain how a release with a follow-through feels like is almost sloppy. It almost feels sloppy, because if you compare, like even if you anchor up here, or if I were to anchor up here, if I were to pull and just cut it loose, and it's difficult to have an around anchor up here, but it definitely is easier to have more of a downward follow through, and it still can come around and behind like this, but it's definitely going to be more of a downward release because of the position you're in and the forces that you're exerting. You're actually pulling down. You can't really be pulling around a whole lot. I mean, you probably are slightly, but definitely the main pull is down just due to this upper angle here. If I was down low, sure, I could come around, and it's actually a little more difficult to come down. But due to it being high, it's basically what's going to happen is you will follow the elbow tip to the attachment into the shoulder joint. So if I'm down low and anchored like this, you can see my forces are exerted along this line, much more rotational behind me. But as I start anchoring higher and higher and higher, if I'm up in this position, you can see now it's more of a downward slope. It's down like this, which is totally normal and natural to have that type of finish like this with the trad style. So what do I mean by sloppy? I mean by sloppy of when I let go, it's just kind of like I'm letting this arm move. I'm not controlling it. Where when we have your type of style release, where it's a short and like a definitive stopping point, it feels like you're trying to control it. You're not just letting it go free. It's like a stop and letting it go, and all that at the same time, stopping the movement back here. And obviously you don't do this with your fingers. I'm just over exaggerating so you see. So in my mind, a good release and follow through with trad style is just kind of free. It's just let it go and let this tension continue to move around and behind you. Like if you were to throw, like trad archery is a lot more applicable to baseball than regular Olympic style archery is because of, you don't have sights. You're just kind of, your body makes up all the adjustments. You shoot enough arrows and you're starting to hit low, you say, okay, I'm just going to hold a little higher, and you get used to that visual reference or the anchor position depending on the type of adjustments you make. But when you throw something, it's as I let go, I'm not just stopping and then controlling my arm all the way through. It's more of just kind of let it move and let it happen. After I let go, just let this arm just kind of move and follow through. It's not a deliberate let go and then control the exact movement as you're following through. It's a let go and just kind of let the arm go. Same thing for me when I'm shooting. It's just let it go. I don't even necessarily all the time keep my elbow bent like this and follow through. It's more of just let it go and let it happen. Be a bit sloppier, and I think that you can do that successfully without having this whole needed control, and you can just let it go, relax, and let the string just cut through your fingers and kind of just keep this movement coming around and behind you. I think that's totally acceptable. So once you get into position, once you're here, just let this arm move and be free. Right now, the only thing that's happening is your hands moving like this, especially on that shot. Your elbow doesn't even move. Let's see if it happens again. So that one, your elbow moved, but your hand did not move as much. So here we'll go to the shot before. Use the wall as a reference against, and I'll put my cursor here. Watch your elbow when you let go. It moves maybe 1.5 inches, but the hand moves a lot like this, right? Because there is a big change and something's going to move, but now watch your elbow. Move twice as much and your hand move half as much. So I suggest if you just let this elbow just kind of move, your hand's not going to be as violent of a pluck. And I think, that one you were even stiffer in position when you let go. So this was stiff and this was stiff. So, more wrist tension, consistent control of the wrist. Because when I let go, I don't just let it go with the wrist. I let go, but keep this the same and keep this the same and just let the elbow move around. So you can clean up your pluck by having a stiff wrist, but that doesn't clean up the actual release. And I believe allowing your arm to move around and behind you is okay. I don't think you need to have it as locked into position as you have. And it's not just you. I believe a lot of trad archers use this style of shooting and releasing and follow through, or a lack thereof, on the back half. They focus a lot on the bow arm and how they control the bow. And you can see you have a good strong bow arm reaction. The bow jumps out and the bow comes down. It comes down because, again, this high anchor. So as you're releasing, that's happening. And I think that's okay. But definitely this stiffness, this rigidness is just very much so ingrained in the trad world for whatever reason. And I believe that if you allow the tension that you have built up to go somewhere in the release and follow through, meaning allow this to happen like that, you will remove the tension that is there from this system, which will clean up this. Because if you have a whole rigidity here or both, it's going to disturb the shot. So if I had rigidity here, I can, allow a follow through, and it's not necessarily a bad thing to have tension in your wrist. When I'm shooting, I use at least recurve, I use a finger spacer. And the finger spacer, so I don't pinch the arrow off the rest. But I maintain the tension of me squeezing the finger spacer, because I squeeze my finger spacer and then hook my fingers on the string. That's the process I do. But I keep that squeezing motion after I've hooked the string all the way through release and follow through. I'm still squeezing my finger spacer because it's just part of the tension that I've built up within this system. I let the string cut through my fingers like that, right? Just kind of cut through, but my hand still ends up in the same position, roughly. So I'm keeping the tension, but allowing it to move here. If you keep tension here and here, then you have this body disturbance, and I believe it has a bit of an influencing effect on impact point as far as consistency goes. So just kind of, in my opinion, being a bit more free and just letting it happen. Be a lot less rigid in the release and follow through part. Continuing to be consistent anchor, consistent hook pressure, consistent tension built up in this part, but being a lot less limiting back here and just allowing it to happen. Doing it the way that you're doing it is it's fine, but due to what I can imagine the shock loads would be on your body and on your joints, you would want, especially, you mentioned you're pushing 70, that you're starting to feel limitations of strength and flexibility and range of motion things. So having less of that tension just here when you let it go and keeping it will probably, I would imagine, lend itself to more flexibility later on. Allowing yourself to just move and allowing your body to do a natural force of for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So if you're pulling back your bow, when you go to let go of the string, just keep pulling and kind of relax into the follow through instead of letting go and then stop moving. That'll really add a lot of tension to the system and add a lot more muscle fiber recruitment, more muscle fatigue, and ultimately more tightness, and over time, less range of motion and flexibility, if I had to guess. So that's what I would suggest. Just be more free. Let the stuff happen without so much of a limitation of tension. So stance looks fine. I prefer the wide stance as well. I like that. As far as overall position, you look pretty good as far as your alignment goes. And I just see you didn't look like you liked that one. Let's check that one out again. I think you cut that one loose a little quicker. Let's see. Let's see if I see a difference. No, it's about the same. But overall, like I said, I like the body position, the alignment as far as with when you get into these type of styles of shooting. It's difficult, especially with that high anchor, but you look pretty decent there. From this angle, I can see the bow arm reaction a little bit better, and it definitely pops to the right a little bit. I think a lot of that has to do with this tension that you have built up into the system. So what I like to see is when you let go, the bow arm kind of naturally jumping out away from your body, and due to the forces that we're pulling back here, we're exerting forward here, and you can see as I'm exerting forces like this, my bow arm wants to move this way relative to my torso, and after the shot, that's what will happen, especially if you allow this section to move around and behind you. This bow arm is going to do more of this instead of like this. And this is what's happening because you're ending the tension in the shot. You're letting go of the string and you're letting go of the tension that you've built up resisting the bow at full draw. So if you're no longer resisting the bow, as you cut this free and you let go of the tension, this is what happens. You can see my bow arm moves forward and my release hand moves kind of out and forward instead of like this, more of a follow through. It's kind of like throwing the arrow to the target, but not actually doing this when you release, but it's feeling the body kind of explode and let the bow launch and let your body launch the bow. I think that all adds up to more consistency, stronger shooting, and like a more fluid follow through. I believe it'll be freeing, in my opinion. You got a lot of tension built up into the system, and I can see your frustration with some of it. And try to be a bit more fluid, a bit more instinctive with it, rather. Just letting it happen. Don't forcefully rigidize or whatever. Don't make it stiff. Just allow it to happen. Don't force it. And I see that happen a lot with trad shooters. Like even that one, if you look at the initial reaction of the bow arm in the shot, when the bow first, or the arrow first starts leaving, watch the bow hand. You'll see it jump out, see it start moving out, away from you towards the target, but also down. The first move is out and down towards there. This pop right there is great, but then all of a sudden watch it move this way. See that? Part of it is you want to see where the arrow goes. Part of it is this tension that you had built up that you've now had to forcibly stop caused a disturbance in the bow arm. So like I said, when you stiffen up like this, it magnifies and whips through your body, and this happens. But what's really nice is when that bow arm jumped out, it popped towards the target, but then this stopped and it caused it to do this. But in addition to that, I can see that you're shooting it, cutting it loose. This already happens, but then you want to see where the arrow goes, just like a lot of people like to do. It's called peeking. Very, very common. Very common, especially in trad shooting and things like that, because it's less precise. So oftentimes people are very excited to see, where'd the arrow go? I'm guilty of that myself at times. But what's really important is shoot the shot, feel what it feels like, analyze how it feels. Did I allow myself to move? Did I pluck? Did I have too much tension here, not enough there? Was I balanced forward? Was I whatever kind of analysis you want to do and feel. So cut the shot loose, then set the bow down and see where the arrow goes. So don't immediately let go and want to see where the arrow goes. Shoot the shot and then check out the arrow landing. That'll also lend itself to consistency. I mean, overall, like I said, the body position looks quite good. It's just that rigidity of the actual release and follow through. Like that one was definitely better. You have some good ones, and it's just, I believe that's when, as far as you didn't come forward and out so much, that one. I think if it goes well, it goes well. But when it goes bad, it is really, I think, just due to the buildup of tension within the system. Let's see if we got another one. This is the side. I think this one, you're towards the target, it looks like. Yep. Yeah, I mean, overall, your elbow's in great alignment behind the arrow, and the high anchor, the bow arm, just has to be in this type of position. Your overall positioning looks quite good. I think that looks just fine. But again, watch this bow arm jump out and towards the target. That one you didn't peek. Some of them, when the shot doesn't go well, you definitely have a tendency to want to see where they go. At least I think I've seen it a couple times. Like that one you didn't throw to see where the arrow went. But let's compare the reaction on this back half. Pretty stiff, but controlled. It didn't move a whole lot. Now this next shot, I bet you the hand comes out more because the bow arm comes out more. No, it actually didn't. Interesting. I think a lot of it has to do with, let's see. That one you had a drive towards the target with the bow hand. That one you did as well. I can I bet you. All right. You guys see it now. Yep. Okay, so I'm going to have to zoom this in. Hopefully I can catch it for you. All right, watch this one. Watch your bow hand. See how on this one here, where you are in this position, watch your bow hand, your bow fingers, all that stuff, and the way the bow reacts on the shot. As I move forward in time, your hand stays still. See how your hand's not changing position through release. And then the bow jumps, but not too violently out of control, not too much towards the right. But this other shot, that one was the good one. This one. So watch your bow reaction on this one. Was it that one or the other one? I think I'm on the wrong one. So that one jumps harder to the right before release. See how your pinky is on this one is in front of the bow? I'll take a screenshot, compare it. And when you release, before you release, you grab the bow with this pinky. So you see that movement? Your pinkies are coming in, all of your fingers are coming in to grab the bow. Then you cut it loose, and then the bow really wants to move towards the right. Where this one of the better ones, see how the bow jumps harder towards me, towards the camera. So this is right before you release on the shot where you flung the bow more towards the right. And this is right before release when the bow jumps more towards the camera. So compare the difference between the two hand positions. If you look here, your hand is more in this type of position and the pinky is further out in front of the bow. And this one, you're a lot stronger into the bow, more like I suggest with the hand pressure on the heel of the palm into the grip. Whereas this one, because the hand is wrapped around the grip more, what that does is it puts more pressure and torques the bow this way. And so when the shot breaks, the bow really wants to go that way, and so does your arm. So that would help fix that, is more pressure into the palm, like you're saying stop, and then just resting that index finger down on the bow like you got. That would help. And I think part of it has to do with how you set up. Like this bow, this shot, you set up and started lifting the bow with the bow a lot more horizontal. Some of the other shots, you lift with the bow a lot more vertical. You turn the bow more vertical first, towards a 45-degree angle, less horizontal, and then you lift. So I think working on trying to control how you're lifting the bow too, and trying to ingrain a shot sequence, whatever it may be, is going to be important for you. I'm definitely going to be doing a video on that in the near future. One of the things that people can work on for 2021 to try to ingrain a shot cycle into their system. So not necessarily my shot cycle, because mine's different, even different than others who have shot the same exact form that I shoot. My shot cycle is not the same as theirs. And because you're shooting traditional, it's not going to be the same as mine. But the important thing is to do it consistently. So I think I'll be talking about that. But in a nutshell, what that is how do you do everything? How do you stand? How do you load your arrow into your bow? How do you set your hook and grip on the string? And then what do you do to get into that position in between hooking and gripping and making sure you're good to go, to lifting the bow and pulling back? How do you turn the bow or not? How do you adjust the feeling of pressure? How do you adjust the pressure of your balance, your pressure on your feet? What do you do with your hips? Things that you can control, how are you controlling them, or what are your main focus points? All the way through, okay, how are you breathing? How are you aligning everything? What are you looking for in your sight picture? What do you feel? And then when you cut it loose, what are you thinking about and feeling as you're cutting the string loose? And then how do you analyze the shot to decide where you went wrong or where you went right, and how to make it better for the next shot, and then implementing that into the next shot and continuing that same cycle over and over and over again. Because if you are not trying to think about the same thing while you are trying to do the same thing, how can you expect yourself to actually do the same thing? You have to control your mind and your body in addition to the actual control of the shot. So that's essentially what I'll be talking about in that video. I'll explain it a lot more in detail and give better examples as well as what I do, so people can relate a bit more. But anyway, that would be where I would absolutely start, is allow yourself to be more free with the release. That'll fix this, that'll fix this. Work on that hand position, push more into the heel and palm of the grip. Allow that arrow to just kind of launch out of the bow, but let you launch that bow. You shoot the bow shoots the arrow, okay? And maintain a bit more composure of driving with what does it feel like? How are you doing? Control how you shoot the bow, and then analyze the shot with where the arrow lands. Those are where I would start. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Send me an email. I'm happy to reply in case I confused you at all or you have any additional questions to that. But otherwise, thank you for submitting a video coaching review. I checked out the website you sent. It's pretty neat what you guys do, and I think that's pretty cool. Hey, thanks for watching. If you like this video, consider hitting the subscription button and the notification bell, as well as the like button. I would appreciate it. Also, please consider supporting my channel. If you head to my website, jakekaminski.com, there'll be info and links on Patreon, apparel, books, and equipment sales, PayPal donate button, a P.O. box to send things to, and above all else, please share this video because there's no better advertising than word of mouth.